Verse 188. And do not consume one another's wealth unjustly, or send it to the rulers, in order that you to consume a portion of the wealth of the people in sin. While you know. 1. Prohibition of unjust wealth consumption. Islam strictly forbids acquiring wealth through illegal means, such as theft, fraud, or bribery. This ayah emphasizes the importance of economic justice in building a moral society. Wealth should be earned through lawful, halal, means, reflecting integrity and fairness. 2. Bribery and corruption. Using bribes to manipulate rulers or courts is condemned as a form of oppression. Such acts harm the social fabric by enabling injustice and inequality. 3. Accountability. This verse warns believers that knowingly engaging in unjust practices will lead to divine accountability. It reflects the Quran's broader emphasis on ethical dealings in personal and societal matters. Verse 189. They ask you about the new moons. Say, they are measurements of time for the people and for Hajj, and it is not righteousness to enter houses from the back, but righteousness is one who fears Allah. And enter houses from their doors. And fear Allah that you may succeed. 1. Lunar calendar and worship. The phases of the moon are a natural tool for tracking time, particularly for Islamic obligations like Ramadan and Hajj. This verse emphasizes the practicality and divine wisdom in using the lunar calendar. 2. Symbolic meaning of entering houses. The phrase about entering houses from the back is interpreted literally and metaphorically. Literal. Some pre-Islamic practices involved entering houses unconventionally during rituals, which is corrected here. Metaphorical. This is a call to approach religious and worldly matters straightforwardly and lawfully. 3. Taqwa as true righteousness. Acts of righteousness are not in outward formalities but in genuine fear of Allah and obedience to His commands. Verse 190. Fight in the way of Allah those who fight you but do not transgress. Indeed, Allah does not like transgressors. 1. Rules of engagement in jihad. Fighting is permitted in self-defense and only against those who initiate aggression. Jihad must always adhere to ethical guidelines, avoiding harm to non-combatants, civilians, and property. 2. Prohibition of transgression. Transgressing limits, such as attacking without cause or committing excesses, is prohibited. This reflects Islam's commitment to justice, even in war. 3. Fighting for Allah's cause. The phrase "in the way of Allah" underscores that fighting is only valid when it serves divine justice and the protection of faith, not personal or worldly motives. Verse 191. And kill them wherever you overtake them and expel them from wherever they have expelled you, and fitna is worse than killing. And do not fight them at al-Masjid al-Haram until they fight you there. But if they fight you, then kill them. Such is the recompense of the disbelievers. 1. Context of fighting. This verse refers to defensive action against those who have driven Muslims out of their homes and persecuted them. Fitna, persecution or corruption, is considered more harmful than the act of war itself. 2. Sanctity of sacred places. Fighting in the sacred precincts of Masjid al-Haram is prohibited unless initiated by enemies. The sanctity of the Haram emphasizes Islam's preference for peace and restraint. 3. Justice in recompense. The punishment for aggression is proportionate, reflecting divine justice. This is not a call for indiscriminate violence but a measured response to injustice. Verse 192. But if they cease, then indeed, Allah is forgiving and merciful. 1. Encouragement of peace. If the aggressors desist from fighting, Muslims are required to stop as well. This reflects Islam's emphasis on forgiveness and reconciliation when possible. 2. Allah's forgiveness. Allah's mercy is a guiding principle, encouraging believers to embody this trait in their dealings with others. Verse 193. Fight them until there is no fitna and religion is for Allah. But if they cease, then there is to be no aggression except against the oppressors. 1. Ending persecution. The goal of fighting is not conquest but the eradication of oppression and the establishment of religious freedom. This is connected to broader Quranic themes of justice and the protection of human dignity. 2. Limits on aggression. Fighting must cease if the aggressors desist. Aggression is only allowed against those who persist in oppression. Verse 194. The sacred month is for the sacred month, and for violations is legal retribution. So whoever has assaulted you, then assault him in the same way that he has assaulted you. And fear Allah and know that Allah is with those who fear Him. 1. Reciprocity in warfare. Fighting during sacred months is only permitted if the enemy initiates aggression during this time. 2. Fear of Allah. Even in conflict, believers are reminded to act with taqwa, God consciousness, ensuring they do not overstep divine limits. 3. Divine support for the righteous. Allah's support is promised for those who remain mindful of Him, even in difficult situations like warfare. Verse 195. And spend in the way of Allah and do not throw with your hands into destruction. And do good. Indeed, Allah loves the doors of good. 1. Charity in the path of Allah. Spending wealth in the way of Allah includes supporting the needy, funding defensive efforts, and other acts of service to the faith. This ayah emphasizes the importance of generosity and avoiding stinginess. 2. Avoiding self-destruction. Refraining from supporting just causes, whether through inaction or miserliness, leads to societal and spiritual decline. This verse warns against negligence in fulfilling one's duties to Allah and society. 3. Excellence in deeds. Doing good, ihsan, is a recurring theme, urging believers to go beyond the minimum requirements and embody moral and ethical excellence. Key themes. 1. Ethics in wealth and warfare. Unjust acquisition of wealth and transgression in war are condemned. Islam promotes justice, restraint, and fairness in all dealings. 2. Balance of justice and mercy. While defensive fighting is permitted, forgiveness and reconciliation are encouraged wherever possible. 3. Taqwa as a guiding principle. Fear of Allah is emphasized as the key to ensuring one's actions align with divine guidance, whether in personal, societal, or global contexts. 4. Charity and social responsibility. Spending in the way of Allah is essential for individual and communal well-being, reflecting the importance of selflessness and generosity.